Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Coffee and Football presented by Texas Road. I'm your host, Blake Monroe, where I'm joined every day by Bobby Burton and Jerry Hamilton. Tell us where you're checking in from this morning. Get your questions in. We also want to know what you're drinking, so be sure to tell us that as well. We got a lot to talk about. We're also going to have Bob Shipley joining us here in a little bit, so looking forward to that one. But first, guys, Sark meets with the media yesterday and had quite a bit to say. And I want to start with what he actually had to say about Oklahoma. He's very high on their defense. We're going to see why here momentarily. But first, here's what Sark said.
2 in the SEC, and it happens to be the All-State Red River rivalry against a very good Oklahoma team, fantastic defensive team. Coach Venables, you can see, his footprint, his handprint all over this defense now in year 3. He's recruited the players that fit his style. They're very active up front, very athletic group. Multitude of pressures, multitude of coverages. I think they lead the SEC in about everything. First in scoring defense, first in passing yards allowed, first in total first down defense, first in pass efficiency defense, first in net punt, second in rushing defense, fifth in passing offense. So you can go down the line about how great they're playing on defense right now. Yeah, well, I think some players have grown up for them, when you look at them on defense, like R. Mason Thomas, Kip Lewis, Jaden Jackson, Dom Williams. I mean, these guys have been playing there, but you're seeing them getting better. You can see the improvement in these guys and in their front get better and better. Kobe McKenzie, and then they've been in the system, and I think that they're earning more and more trust from Coach Venables. He's calling it really aggressively. The back end is playing sound, but at the end of the day, the ball's having to come out so quickly because they're defeating the run and they're getting to the quarterback and he's putting pressure on the quarterback, and they haven't been really hurt. Auburn hurt him a couple times. That's been about it all year. And so I just think they're playing fast, they're playing confident, they're playing physical, and that's what good defenses do. But I think it's been the growth and development of a lot of those players that have been in the program 2 and 3 years now is in the system.
So with that said, fellas, I'm actually going to put up on the screen OU's defensive ranks, and then let me get y'all's thoughts.
My number one is the third down conversion percentage defensively, because I mean you can chew up the yards per game given up because you're still in that point where you have more G5 opponents than P4 opponents. The yards per play, you can chew all those up to a certain percentage if you want in the chat, right? I'm not, but you can. But third down conversion percentage, that is the big one for me. I mean, because in this game, what was Texas average third down against Florida, Bobby? 11.
Yep, 3rd and 11. Yeah.
If it's 8.5 or more Saturday, Texas will be 2 of 13, 2 of 14 on third downs. You're not going to convert a bunch of third downs against this defense. So Texas is imperative to be, if you have let's say you have 14 third downs in this game, it's imperative that 7, 8, 9 of those are third and medium. Imperative. If not, it's going to be a tough day.
Look, they're 5-0 and they've allowed 3 total touchdowns on defense all year. Okay, that should give you a feel for how dominant they've been on defense. At the same time, to Jerry's point, they haven't played a bunch of teams that have had high-powered offenses. Michigan plays it close to the vest on offense, and they certainly did early while they were getting Bryce Underwood underneath them. Jackson Arnold and Auburn, they're just not very good on offense. Those have been their 2 big tests thus far. I think Texas actually will be their toughest test offensively to date. We'll see what that means because we know Texas is not a great offense at this point. I'm not saying that at all. Look, Sooners defense is going to be game. We know that. How Texas goes about this game and tries to create points, we will have to see, and we need to see what the Sooners offense can do against this Texas defense. The one thing I would venture to say about this matchup is I do not expect the Sooners offense to move the Texas defense so easily as the Florida offensive line was able to Jerry mentioned this yesterday, but our guy, I just don't think their offensive line is as good as Florida's.
Yeah, no, look, and that's going to be on the flip side of the game for Texas is what I'm watching. Oklahoma doesn't have Jaden Ball, and they're not as good up front as Florida, and they don't have the weapons now. I mean, look, they're not as good at wide receivers, Florida, but I mean they have good players because Deion Burks is healthy and Satang is healthy, so they got quickness. Tackling in space, I think, is a big thing for the Texas secondary against those two guys. By the way, because they're a little slippery, and then they make you pay. So tackling in space, but that's the biggest thing for me with the Texas defense. Oklahoma should not be able to establish a run game with their running backs. If they do, something's wrong because they haven't done it against anybody. So, and Torrey Blaylock is the freshman from Atascocita is their runner now. He is their leading rusher. When Mateer went down, he was their leading rusher. Oklahoma's not been able to run the football with the backs against anybody. If they are able to establish that Saturday, that's not good for Texas because they should not be able to. But then again, that's kind of where all my concerns are in this game is last week, Jaden Ball's a 10-year NFL guy if he stays healthy. He had 40 yards against LSU and 46 and 46 is what it was. And he outside of one drive, he really wasn't a factor. And then he had 69 yards in 2 drives. First 2 drives Saturday against Texas. So, but Oklahoma, that's one of the things I'm really looking for from a defensive standpoint is if the running backs in Oklahoma starts, establishing a run with those guys, that's going to be pretty concerning in this game. So we'll see.
All right. Well, let's see here, Bobby. I'm going to let you tell everyone this morning about Texas Road, if you don't mind.
Yeah, our friend Rick Vavro is a big supporter of On Texas Football, and we appreciate him. He has a few companies. One of them is Texas Road. Texas Road reconstructs and rehabilitates existing roadways in dense urban environments and complicated working conditions. While understanding the difficulty and complexity of these types of projects, they have vertical integration to handle a wide scope of work. That is Texas Road LLC, Texas Road, as well as other businesses that Rick has, including Austin Underground and the Lone Star Bar. Thank you so much to Rick Vavro and his team over there.
All right. Well, there's obviously a lot of excitement around the game despite Texas losing this past weekend. And one player in particular, guys, that's super excited is Hero Canoe. He was asked yesterday about the Red River rivalry, and here's what he had to say.
Actually, so I played in 2 Cotton Bowls, but they weren't the actual Cotton Bowl, and kind of like when I came to America, there were like 3 rivalry games people always talking about, like obviously the Ohio State Super Bowl game. Then we got the Iron Bowl and the Red River rivalry. So it's actually a blessing to be able to play 2 adults at least. I knew what Texas Longhorns were because it's a global brand, but I didn't know about the rivalry. Yeah, so they say it's one of the best atmospheres that they have ever seen. Kind of like they keep talking about like the field being split. Like one side is OU, the other side is Texas. Just super excited to see what this is going to look like. Obviously, experienced it for myself as the first time. And yeah.
And so he's interesting because I'd have to go back and really look. And the people in the chat we have some time, so find it or bring a name up. How many guys have played in now? Sharon Moore's coached in, played in Texas OU and Michigan Ohio State rivalries.
I got one.
There's a couple, but I can't. It doesn't immediately come to mind. But that's going to be. He's in it from an interesting place because he gets to play in arguably 2 of the top 3 or 4 rivalries in the country.
Yeah, Troy Sermon, the old OU running back that transferred to Ohio State and then played a little bit in the pros, played in both.
Yeah,
I thought it was interesting where he talked about Texas being a global brand there as well. People knowing it, worldwide. He has been Hero Canoe has been a pleasant surprise this season. I know we're not really wanting to talk about pleasant surprises, right, Jerry? At this point, given that Texas is off to a 3-2 start, but Hero Canoe has certainly been one of those.
Yeah. Tariq Black, there's one OG Sling Blade. Thank you, Quinn. Well, Quinn didn't play, but I guess he experienced it. But yeah, but there's been a few. Yeah, that's this Quinn count. I mean, he didn't play, but he was there for it, right?
Technically.
Yeah.
Ryan
Ryan
Watts.
Watts.
Ryan Watts, there you go, played in it. So there's a few, but that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool for Hero Canoe. But yeah, the worldwide brand. Look, we're going to see it. We see it in Texas athletics more than football because football is not really an international sport. I think on some level it can get to be a little bit more, and in the future, we're talking 10, 12 years down the line if some things are done. But like we're going to see it in basketball with Sean Miller now. It's going to be, you're going to hear that a lot because he recruits so much internationally, and there's so many international kids coming to college basketball now. But the worldwide brand part is absolutely true. And it's one of the big calling cards for the University of Texas athletics as a whole.
Well, one other tidbit from that press conference yesterday that I want to get into before we move on is, yesterday we were asked a lot, should Texas have taken portal offensive linemen? A lot of people weighed in on that. Well, Sark was asked that yesterday. He kept it short and sweet, but his answer was a hot topic of discussion on social media afterwards.
Well, I think inevitably you can play the hypothetical and the what ifs. It's what's available and then what do you have. And, I think our guys that we have are more than capable. Like I said, we got to coach better and we got to play better.
Look, there's no do-overs. Hindsight is 2020. That's the reality in college football. And I think Sark, he didn't take the easy way out there. He said what he said. And I feel like what has happened on the Texas offensive line is that they are completely flummoxed right now with pressure coming from when they don't know where it's coming from. You line up over the top of them, they'll give Arch time. You feign pressure, you run twists, they're having problems. And I will say this, guess who runs a hell of a lot of feign pressure and a hell of a lot of twists? Oklahoma. They specialize in it. So
in fact,
got out on this weekend.
Major Applewhite once told me that Brent Venables was the toughest D coordinator to get the game plan for and kind of have a feel for what he was going to do. That's back when he was at Texas. That's where Brent Venables has always been. He's one of the best there is. But on the portal, hey, look, there's arguments on both sides. Florida just physically beat Texas with and they had one guy they didn't go to the portal last year after struggling.
Yeah.
They have guys that have been in their program a long time. They grew up and they put the hammer down. There's a lot of ways. There's a lot of arguments that can be made both ways. You got to perform, number one. And you got to bring physicality. You got to bring physicality to the sport, number one. I don't care who you have. You're going to bring physicality, else you aren't winning. Not in this league.
Let's bring in Coach Shipley, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
Blake.
Bob, good morning.
Morning. How's everybody
How you doing, Coach?
I'm drinking my coffee extra strong this week.
I need you to.
Still trying to wake up from what I thought was a nightmare.
Hey, Coach, I had a question for you, and actually it comes from the chat. And I was just talking before you got on. I think you were backstage, so you could hear it. But I was saying they were having problems with feign pressure, twists. Those were the kind of issues. And Champ Bailey, longtime poster here, asked this question. Bobby and Jerry, who's that on not picking that up? Is it on the players or coaching? More likely both, right, Bob? What is it?
Yeah, well, first of all, I want to go back and say people that are giving us problems are doing the same thing that we're not doing on our defense. Our defensive front, it seemed like against Florida was stale. And I know that's not what we're talking about, but there was no getting off of blocks. There was no if you can't get anything to happen and you're getting pushed around, slant, do some twists, do some different things to throw the offense off. But back to the question. Well, it's mostly on coaches for two reasons. Obviously, the technique and the preparation. but it's also on the coach for recruiting guys that can't get it done. So I don't think it's a player's fault either way. I mean, they're playing in front of millions of people on national TV every week. They're not trying to go out there and look anything but their best. Obviously, they want to play this game for a long time and make a lot of money doing it. And so it's not like the players don't want to. Either they're being coached that way or they're being allowed for that to happen. But I think either way, it's on the coaching.
Got it.
Like I said, if for no other reason than for recruiting people that can't pick up that kind of stuff. And honestly, that's why a lot of guys play offense, because they're not good at making that split-second decision and reaction. You know, I was kind of that way. I wanted to know where I was going. I wanted to know who I was supposed to block. I knew exactly what foot I was going to step with, whether it was going to be lateral or at an angle. Defensively, you don't have any idea, you know, what's coming. And so, anyway, I think offensive guys are just, I don't know, it's recruiting. Recruiting.
I love it, Coach. Just boil it down for us. Appreciate it. Hey, Jerry also mentioned Brent Venables, very difficult to prepare for in this game coming up. What have you seen from the Sooners that concerns you and or gives you some thought for hope in this game?
Everything concerns me at this point.
Okay.
Everything concerns me at this point. The way our offense is playing, the way their defense is playing, the way their offense is playing. I'm hoping for the best, but this is a very talented team. Brent Venables seems to be hitting a stride a little bit with this team, almost like, you know, he was kind of in his prime, you know, at Clemson there when they were really, you know, on a roll, doing things the right way. They seem to have, a formula that works for them. Okay, unlike us right now. I don't know what our formula on offense is.
Yeah,
and it as I said on the winning drive last night, you know, we could fix it. UCLA put in a new offense in 2 days. Bobby, is that right?
Yep.
That's what you told me. And beat Penn State. We can make adjustments. It's not like you can say, well, this is what we've been doing. We got to figure out who the heck we are. Now we know who our players are, good, bad, and ugly. And there's some great ones, and there's some that are weak spots. We've got to find a way to bring all those things together, because OU will be ready. And Brent Venables is one of the best in the business at what he does. So I think I wouldn't be worried about Brent Venables as much right now especially early in the week, as really trying to figure out who we are and what we can do well, how we can help these players.
Coach, I hadn't been on a show with you, but I think before any X's and O's in this game, especially after last week, if Texas doesn't match physicality, the rest of it just not going to matter. I mean, last week the Texas did not match physicality, and then the rest of this just doesn't matter when talent's neutralized a lot of times, or close to neutralized. But that's like, and I've said if Texas and Oklahoma fans both can't leave the Cotton Bowl at 5:30 Saturday saying, man, that Texas team, no matter who wins the game. If Oklahoma wins and they can't say that Texas team, that was a lot more physical team than they looked like against Florida the week before, there's problems. Because
right.
This is the easiest game of all time.
Right.
To be the most physical you've been since January 10th of last year. After you take a physical butt whipping and you didn't match physically when you got off the plane, got on the field, this is the time that everybody should watch this game and say that team brought a level of physicality we haven't seen this year. And that's when you can start to turn the corner. If they don't, the corner will not be turned.
Jeff Howe went on a rant last night and on that very thing. You know, this you get this day once a year, you know, and it was brilliant. It was kind of like George Costanza when he finally hit a joke right, and he goes, "I'm out." We should just close the show when Jeff finished that, because it was inspiring, and it was right. He hit the nail right on the head. But I tell you what, what I was going to say is I would bring in Casey Studdard to talk to this football team. And I would have him there every day in practice, almost the OU week, because that guy, we had a question last night on the live stream. Can you coach a kid's intensity, or is it a flip that switch? How do you flip that switch on? I go, how do you think Casey Studdard would answer that question? I mean, Casey Studdard would answer that question that there is no switch. There's one speed. And anyway, Casey Studdard, I've always thought the best question that an offensive lineman should get from a college coach that's recruiting him: you ever been in a fist fight? Have you ever been in a fist fight? And, if the guy's like, gosh, gee whoppers, no, then think hard about recruiting that guy, whether that's the mentality you want your offensive line to have, but just in every position, especially in this game, I don't believe in that. I don't think I've just never been a believer in that. Oh, this is the big game, so you better play really hard. Heck no. It's a big, every game is a big game. You got to play really hard every game and every play in practice. Every pass that you make in your mind in practice and in the game is the game-winning pass. Every catch you make is a game-winning catch. That's the intensity level you have to have, not just in the game, all week. And then that becomes who you are. Sorry for the kind of went off chasing though.
That's all good, Coach. I think people are agreeing with you. I think they're nodding their head. I mean, you can't turning your motor off is not really.
You're a warrior. You're a warrior. You're a football player.
What's the most famous drill in football? It's the Oklahoma drill,
Blood
right?
Alley.
Blood Alley. Oklahoma drill. This is a game built on physicality at its heart. If you can't bring the physicality, I don't care about portal this, portal that, X's and O's. If you can't bring physicality, you aren't going to win in this conference at this level.
Yeah.
Period.
It's just if you have the attitude that every play, everything you do is 4th and 1. Obviously you won't use the same technique, but I'm talking about the intensity. And I just didn't see it Saturday. The game hadn't been over that long ago, but we've certainly touched that subject probably over the top too much. But there just wasn't any sense of urgency. There wasn't any 4th and 1 mentality. Nothing. And I don't know if that's on the players, because like I said, they know they're playing in front of millions. They don't want to embarrass themselves. They don't. That's not like I don't really feel like playing bull. I got NFL scouts, tons of scouts at this game watching me. No. So if you're not getting what you want out of the players, you better start recruiting what you want out of your players.
Yeah.
Hey, Coach Shipley, we got a super chat for you from Freelance Society. Thank you, Freelance Society. It says, Coach, are the tight ends playing bad too? Sark said it's the second most important position in his offense. Also, how's Lake Fort Phantom Hill looking these days?
Brown. It's always brown. Should have named it Red Dirt Lake. But hey, they catch some good stripers out there. That's for sure. We used to go out there and catch them a lot when I was playing white bass and fry them up. The tight ends, that's a very interesting question. I see some good things. It's certainly not at the level that it's been. I don't think our blocking is at the level that it needs to be. I don't know. It doesn't seem like we're utilizing our tight ends as much as we have over the past 2 or 3 years. And that could be because he doesn't see effectiveness that the other tight ends had in the past couple of years. I don't know, but I still think you need to use your tight end more, if for no other reason, to keep the defense honest, because that's been the heart and soul of his offense for the last couple of seasons. It seems like to me. I mean, those were the guys, but I don't know. We just hadn't had that one guy really. Injuries does. He'll have flashes, of being a good player, and he seems to be the one that the coach trusts the most. But I don't know. I think that's a good question, and time will tell.
I wonder if it's not this. I mean, it's just a change at quarterback. I mean, tight ends don't go deep very often, and Quinn liked the short stuff. I kind of wonder, Coach, at what point does Texas start trying to go to shorter stuff, given the lack or the reasonable ability to hold the ball as long as they're trying to right now, and let the stuff develop? I mean, I understand a few shot plays. It seems like Texas is taking a lot of shot plays, and because of that, they're not staying on the field very often.
Well, I can tell you this. In high school, you're not recruiting them. You shouldn't be. You got who you've got, the hand you're dealt. So you got to look at that hand and play it the best you can. At this point, Texas, the cards are on the table. They know what they've been dealt. Those guys aren't automatically going to become, bulldozers and all conference players in 1 week. We know now. So if my offensive line is not being effective, then you have to find other ways to help them. The quick screens out to the receivers, so, I mean, it's kind of feast or famine. I always am scared to death for a pick six because it really deflates you fast, but get the ball outside. Remember when 2009 Colt McCoy was a master? Well, Greg Davis, in fact, Babers brought this up last night, doesn't get the credit he deserves because he didn't have a scheme. I mean, he didn't have – Sark has his offense. He takes it with him everywhere that he goes. Greg Davis had a totally different offense later on in his career than he did earlier. He had a different offense for Colt than he did for Vince. That offensive line in 2009 wasn't a road grader offensive line. We didn't have who was the star running back on that 2009 team that played for the national championship? So we weren't a running team. We didn't have the we had Trey was playing and got hurt, Trey Newton, but other than that we didn't have. So those short passes, you remember when Colt was leading the country in passing percentage because the short passes was the running game. Help out your offensive line. My last rant on that is this: when Sark came, his motto was very clear: all gas, no brakes. So if nothing else fails, as the old saying goes, fatigue make cowards of us all. Let's ramp up the offense and let's start going at a fast pace, and that will slow down the defense. You go fast enough if you can keep your same personnel on the field where they can't sub, then that's going to help your offensive line. If your offensive line has been doing that and are in shape, I don't think you could just instantly do it, or they're going to be huffing and puffing. I'm hoping that they're doing some of that stuff in practice, but I just think you need to do whatever you have to do to fit the offense to your personnel, because you can't change your personnel now. You can't go in the middle of the season in the portal and bring in guys. You're stuck with who you have. And so I agree 100%, Bobby. Shorten your passing game. The routes are taking too long to develop, or just getting the heck beat out of them. Sark's got to modify his schemes. I just think he has to, because this is not the same offensive line as we had last year. This is not the same. There's no continuity offensively. There's nothing that seems to be in sync on offense, So anyway, that's my rant on that.
No, it's a good one. It's a good. It gets the juices flowing in the morning. Coach, we appreciate your time, buddy. You have a good one.
Always.
Man.
Yeah,
right.
You guys too.
Okay.
Thanks,
All right, take care, Coach. Thank you so much. Lake
All right.
Phantom Hill. What is that? Is that up there near Abilene?
Yes, I think so. I'm pretty sure.
I'd seen it on a map way back in time.
All right. Well, before we move on, Bobby, I'm going to let you start this morning and tell everyone about Kirby Lane.
Yeah, absolutely. Kirby Lane's an Austin institution. You guys know it for its pancakes in the morning. But Kirby Lane is an all-day cafe serving up chef-driven, scratch-made recipes and the local Austin vibe we all love. And now dinner there is better than ever. We're talking chef-driven entrees, seasonal specials, and craft cocktails designed to elevate your night out. Whether it's date night, family night, or just catching up with friends, Kirby Lane keeps it local with scratch-made dishes and the unmistakable taste of Austin. Dinner done right from a family-owned Austin original since 1980. Explore the menu today at KirbyLaneCafe.com. That is KirbyLaneCafe.com. Look it up for a location near you.
And I'm going to tell everyone about Prize Picks this morning because we make decisions daily. But on Prize Picks, being right can get you paid. And Prize Picks is simple to play. You're just going to pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections. If you get those picks right, you can cash in and win up to 2,000 times your money. And it's the best way to get in on the sports action in more than 40 states, including California, Florida, Georgia, and of course, right here in the great state of Texas. And it's Tuesday, so I'm waiting on all those college football projections to come out. So I don't have any picks for you today, but, man, they got everything. They have MLB, they have NFL, college football. They even have esports, if that's your thing. So be sure to go check that out. Make your picks in less than 60 seconds. Turn your sports opinions into real money. Download the Prize Picks app today. Use code ONTexas when you sign up. They're going to give you $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Again, that's code ONTexas to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. And that's Prize Picks, where it's good to be right. And Jerry, I'm going to let you tell everyone about Gooder while we're at it.
Yeah, I'm gonna rip through Gooder real quick here. I don't have my Gooders on. They were great in the car yesterday. Stylish Sunny starting only $25 a pair. 1 year free warranty, 30-day free returns, lightweight and comfortable. They're 100% polarized, no slip, no bounce. From vibrant colors to sleek styles, there's a pair of Gooders for every personality out there. Designed for both everyday wear and active individuals that love to run, hike, bike, and much, much more. So when do you wear your Gooder Sunnies? Well, driving 3 hours from Houston to Dallas on the practice field at Waxahachie, which we're about to talk about, on a run, Waxahachie, playing pickleball, on a hike, playing tennis, going to the beach, you name it, Cotton Bowl Saturday, probably there too, because they're so affordable. You don't have to worry about losing or breaking them. You can have a pair for every single occasion. If you need a new pair of Sunnies, Gooder is giving On Texas football listeners free shipping. You can go to gooder.com/OnTexas and use that code OnTexas for free shipping. Again, that's gooder.com/OnTexas and use that code for free shipping. 30-day money back guarantee. You don't need that. You've heard me read this many times before. You'll love them.
All right, well, you are on the road, Jerry. As you said, you were in Waxahachie. Tell us about that a little bit.
I keep saying Waxahachie. I keep thinking about the Florida-Texas game. Waxahachie. Yeah, so Cohen Brown, look, I think this kid's a tremendous football player now. He's seeing him in person yesterday, really, really built well. He's a very strong kid. He's got quickness. He's got explosiveness. He's a sure-handed kid. He can really sink and get in and out of his cuts and create separation. There's about 10, 11, 12 D1 kids on this team from sophomore to senior class. He goes against good athletes every day in practice, against really good athletes on Friday night. But I think he's a guy that's going to be able to beat press coverage. He is super strong. He's going to be hard to press. But then you can see he's just a super athletic kid. But the thing about him, I just put guys in the same category, players like this. And there's been 2 college assistants in the last 3 weeks that recruited Cohen Brown or that have watched senior tape on him that compared him to Matthew Golden in high school. I'm not saying he's going to be a first-round pick. But guys like Quandre Diggs, Matthew Golden, Cohen Brown plays wide receiver, wildcat quarterback, cornerback, plays in the return game. He's going to play over 90 snaps in a high school game or until he cramps. Same way Quandre Diggs was, same way Matthew Golden was. Those guys are just ball players. At the end of the day, they're ballers. They're ball players. This is a guy that he's going to play wide receiver at Texas because he talks to Chris Jackson's the only assistant coach he talks to. Obviously, a little bit of Chris Gilbert. Chris Gilbert's going to be involved in any kid in DFW area from a recruiting standpoint. But Shane Tollison, the head coach at Waxahachie, is, look, he was at Denton Ryan for 7 years. He's seen a lot of really good players, and some of those guys through Texas. And this kid, they all say the same thing about Cohen Brown, that he is the guy you want on your football team, that he is a competitor, he is a tough kid, and he's also a playmaker. And if whatever you ask him to do on a Friday to help you win a football game, that guy's going to do it. I think that's a strong eval. And by the way, he's 5'11", 190, and he's held his. What's impressive to me about, I was asking him yesterday, I said, what did you weigh in August when practice started? He said 190. I said, you're like a rarity that's able to hold your weight through August, September, and into the first week in October. And he's a guy he's just been able to do that. Yeah, Darius Terrell is a recruiting coordinator at the high school, former Texas player, played at DeSoto in high school, but he's been able to maintain his weight. I think this kid's got a really bright future because I think he's wired the correct way. I think that's the thing for me. He's wired.
Jerry, I'm sorry to interrupt you. Somebody had mentioned he's being recruited as a safety. Is he? What is Texas recruiting him as?
He's only ever talked to Chris Jackson, Jackson, and Chris Gilbert and Steve Sarkisian. He's playing wide receiver at Texas. A lot of people ask about the 2027 safety, Jaquan Snell. I think we have some huddle. He did not practice yesterday. One of his massive hits affected him a couple of weeks ago. He is a striker, so one of his hard hits, he finally felt the brunt of it as well. So we'll see if he goes against Mesquite Horn this week, because he is a striker. And yeah, I think he knocked himself out a couple of weeks ago. But 6'3", 190. He's down from 200 pounds last year. He's about 190 this year. He will be both these guys will be at the Texas OU game. So I think we're going to see a vast there. That'd have been targeting almost at the college level. He would have been out. But he has a few targets on here, I think. But that's the type of hitter he is. But yeah, a lot of these DFW guys will be at Texas OU game Saturday. I'm going to see another young one today. I'll tell you guys more about that tomorrow. I'm not going to give all this away beforehand. But this is one of the better safeties in the country in 27. He's supposed to release a top 9. It's early on this stuff. You know how I am with this, NIL, everything. But he is releasing a top 9 here this week. But he was at A&M last weekend. He's going to Clemson on the 18th for the SMU game. He'll be at Ohio State for the Penn State game on the 1st. So everybody in America is recruiting him. Everybody in America wants him. He's a long, rangy safety that is a very, very physical football player naturally. You don't coach guys physicality like this. This guy has it. Cohen Brown's the same way. They're physical players. One of the best safeties in the country, and Texas is recruiting him as hard as they can be early on.
You do not want to leave your midsection exposed going over the middle against Waxahachie.
No, and look, they're playing. Yeah, I mean, look, this guy's he is a striker now. This is. I mean, how many times does his helmet come off? It's like the safety version of Tyler Atkinson. Remember when Tyler Atkinson was knocking his helmet off and other people's as a junior? That's kind of what he is, and he has playing speed. And I'll tell you the interesting thing about seeing him in person. Physically, he really hasn't even started to develop his frame yet. He is going to be 6'3" and all of 215. All of 215, 220.
Is he possibly a DeMarvion Overshone kind of guy?
Or I don't know. I think he runs really well.
I mean, DeMarvion runs well, bro.
Yeah, he did, but instinctively as a safety, did he run well?
Yeah, I got you.
You did mention more Isaiah Simmons-ish. We'll see.
Okay. You did mention one other thing, Jerry, and that's that they were going to be at both of those guys were going to be at the Texas OU game this year. It is a Texas home game.
Yes.
And what that means is Texas will be the host of recruits. So they control the tickets allotment for recruiting. So all these guys will be guests of Texas. I will say this. there can be very little recruiting going on during the Texas OU game itself because you can't bring the kids down to the field. And it's just tough. You don't get to necessarily see them right afterwards after the game. But you do get to leave them tickets, invite the kids to come. I'm sure the 2 kids from Waxahachie will not be the only ones.
No, there's gonna be a lot of kids there. The communication is normally before the game in text or calls, but those kids are not on the field, so it's a different. This is not like going to a Texas game for recruits, but it's a great atmosphere for them to sit in the stands and feel like. I think it was the game 3 years ago where Colin Simmons was committed to Texas, but Bo Barnes, that was the day Texas offered Xavier Filsaime. He showed up at the game. And I was just walking through the stands. I was like, oh, that's interesting. And then Texas offered him that day. Used to Parker Livingston. There were a lot of guys at that game. All your top DFW guys, unless they have Saturday at noon high school stuff going on or play on a Saturday, they will be at this game. And there'll be a few kids from out East Texas, other areas come down as well for it. As guest of Texas, the tickets are through Texas, but it's going to be a heavily attended game by Prospect Saturday. There's no doubt.
Yeah, 2:30 kickoff at the Cotton Bowl. Also, I want to mention this: DallasTexasX's.org. They have a number of different events going on this weekend. If you're going to be up in Dallas and would like to participate, they have a Friday night mixer, and then they have the pep rally and all this other stuff downtown. They also have a golf tournament that Jerry and I will be at Friday morning. And then they have the Texas X's tailgate inside the state fair. Make sure you check out DallasTexasX's.org. If you're going to the game or going to be in Dallas this weekend, they have a number of big time events that are a lot of fun. Jerry and I will be at a couple of them as well. I think Tony Hill's going to join us too, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
Nice.
Hope so.
Well, we have super chats we need to jump over to, gentlemen. We're going to do just that. Jeff Carey here says, key in on Jerry's comments. I think if Oklahoma runs well, we lose and the wheels are off.
I think I would be extraordinarily surprised if Oklahoma ran the ball what I would call well. They might. The best I think they would hope for is run the ball functionally. Does that make sense to you? I don't think running the ball well is going to be in the cards for them. I just don't. Their offensive line hasn't shown that to date, other than with their quarterback run game. They just haven't. And so, barring that, I would be extremely surprised if they ran the ball well.
And then on a related OU note, Juan Garza says, do you all honestly believe that Texas will bring the fight to OU this weekend? What are your thoughts? Have you heard anything from sources?
Look, for me, I don't think sources even matter this week. This is too easy. If they don't, you got an issue, period. Like, last week was very discouraging. That was very discouraging. I mean, everybody wants to blame players now and trade players and do all this crap. I'm just not there, people. I'm just not there. If you don't bring the fight physically, all this crap just doesn't matter, man. I want to see matched physicality. But until you get to that point, then you don't. It's not even worth it to talk about the rest.
If they don't bring that this weekend, this team doesn't have a pulse. Yeah. And I don't think that that's what this team is made of, Jerry. I'll be blunt. I know you're still stuck on that point, and I don't think you're wrong, because that's probably what caused the loss at some level. Not matching that intensity level on the lines of scrimmage in particular, and not matching that level of preparation, particularly on the offensive line. I mean, I think that Coach Shipley did a good job of explaining that. I mean, look, you put that on the coaches for having people not prepared to deal with those sorts of pressures, or you recruit better. Either way, the buck stops with the coaches. I think we all agree with that. At some level, though, the coaches can't make you want to be physical. You have to want to be physical. Perhaps we see some changes in the offensive front going up to OU this week. I don't think anything is taboo right now. Probably the only thing that is going to happen is I think Trevor Gooseby is going to be the left tackle. Beyond that, I think they'd look, and I think DJ Campbell will be the right guard. Beyond that, could they potentially move Cole Hudson out the left guard and put Connor Robertson at center? Maybe, if the left guard is that dire of a situation. I mean, Brandon Baker actually had a quote unquote good game at right tackle. All of the pressure was coming from the left of the center, left guard. So, or the majority of the pressure. So we'll see what happens.
And then Nathaniel Gomez with the super chat. Thank you, Nathaniel. Says most positive from the Florida game. And then adds, not a fan of going man all game. Arch versus pressure, still not it. And our corners got killed. Is offensive line the biggest issue? Do you see a change coming?
So they had to go man most of the game, and they didn't go all game. They had to go man because they were getting beat up in the run game. They had to commit other people to the box. And that's so Nathaniel, one thing predicated something else, right? Their second half approach and going man. Arch versus pressure is still not it. I thought Arch handled pressure really well, actually. I mean, if you're asking me what was his grade of handling pressure, I'd give him about I'd give him an 80 to 85%. He wasn't perfect, got sacked 6 times, but he should have been sacked 12 to 15. I mean, it was a turnstile. I mean, if there was a bright spot in that game for me on offense, it was 2 things. It was that Emmett Mosley looks like a player to me, and Arch Manning showed that he's a guy worth following. If you're a player on that team and you go turn on that film and don't think your quarterback didn't fight for his life and help you out, you're fully, you know what? I'm just telling you, if anybody earned the respect of their teammates in that game, it's Arch Manning. Because it just is what it is. You can dislike his ability to throw the ball or whatever, but he earned the respect of the team. And yes, I do believe the OL is the biggest issue on this team right now, bar none.
And we'll stay on Arch for a moment, fellas, because Daryl here, thank you, Daryl, says, are we getting closer to 3 years of Arch rather than 2?
I mean, this was never a topic coming into the season. It was all BS. We talked about all this clickbait crap. This guy was never going to be 1 year. You have to develop in games. Like, we talked about this for, 7 months? We called it all clickbait and all BS. And that's exactly what it was. And he is not – I've said he's going to be at Texas 2 years, and he may be at Texas 3 years. So that's – I don't know what to say. We said all this was just clickbait BS, and people were running with it, acting like this was what was going to happen and be real. It was never going to be real. And by the way, what have we always said about this too? Then it's going to turn right the other direction because there's money to be made on both sides of this, the hype and the teardown. And it's going to continue with this. It's just going to be a continuous, vicious cycle. It's what it is. We talked about it all off season. A lot of money to be made by the buildup and the teardown by people.
All right, let's see. We got another one here. Bobby's Mayo Spreader. Thank you, Bobby's Mayo Spreader. Who do we beat on the schedule if we play like last week? I'll put the schedule up and let y'all answer.
Well, it all depends. I really think that Texas has a chance to go on a run here. So I am picking Texas to beat OU, guys. As a matter of fact, I did it this morning. There's something about this game. I just feel like Arch Manning is going to be a better quarterback than what OU puts out there. I don't think it's going to be John Mateer. And I think even though OU's defense is dominant, I mean, Steve Sarkisian has scored points against Brent Venables. Has he not to date every year? I think Cedric Baxter hopefully will be freaking healthy. Hopefully Trey Wisner will be. They'll have some juice. But Texas could go on a little four-game run here. And all of a sudden, they're looking at 7-2 instead of 3-2, if that happens. Then all the boo birds are back. And so win that, possibly lose to Georgia, beat Arkansas, you're 8-3 or 9-2. If you keep winning, then you set up A&M for a big game. I have no problem with this Texas team right now. And what I mean by the future and what it looks like, but it has to start at OU. In the preseason, I said this was the key game of the year. I did. I thought it was going to be Texas would start 3-2, and that they had to show that they were going to be a better team late in the year than they were in the beginning of the year. And nothing has changed for me on that. They have to become a better team throughout the year as Arch Manning plays more and more and starts more and more and sees more and more different styles of defense. And as the offensive line potentially gels. That is the biggest thing for me right now. You asked me, by far, the biggest worry I have is not Arch Manning. It's not the defense. It's the offensive line gelling.
Yeah, and my take on it is a little different, and that's life. If Texas doesn't start bringing physicality, it won't matter. Period. Doesn't matter. Period. This league is not you're not going to win doing what we saw Saturday. Period. Won't happen. Not against anybody good.
All right, our next super chat this morning, let's see, comes from Spank B. In my opinion, it seems to be a culture issue over talent issue. Like Rod B says, you have guys that play for Texas, then you have guys that play at Texas. Arch and those 23 draft picks played for Texas.
I don't know that that's. I think there's. So I would say this: there is that issue. Okay. I don't know that that's what's going on right now. I think some people may be wanting to read too much into it at this point. The season is 5 games in. What are y'all going to say if they go on a 4-game win streak here before Georgia? Y'all still going to say that? Or are you going to say, oh, we got a chance to go to Georgia here? I just want to put that out there. I think people are trying to find solutions too early.
I think
zero it in.
Yeah, look, I think Saturday is huge for the rest of the season, and I mean this in a win or a loss. If you just show a lot different physicality and toughness and resolve Saturday, even if you get beat, that, as crazy as it sounds, it can be a positive for growth if you stay engaged. But if you go out and it's anything like Florida Saturday, it's going to be tough. But they have to look. I've said this. I'm going to keep saying it until the game's over. You need to be able to walk as a Texas fan. You need to be able to walk away Saturday, or turn the TV off Saturday, turn the TV to another game Saturday at 5:30, saying that was a totally different looking team than what you saw against Florida, physically and discipline-wise. And if they do and they still get beat, and Oklahoma's really, really good on defense, and you still get beat, there's some things that you can build on if your kids stay engaged. The toughest thing with teams that have very high expectations is if those expectations are then gone, how do those guys stay engaged? But you need to see – I know I need to see something totally different than I did Saturday.
All right, Bobby, tell us about Tecovas this morning.
Yeah, anywhere worth going is worth going in good boots. The fall is boot weather. We all know that. Walk a little taller, a little more confident. And boots, I love the fact that Tecovas are already broken in for comfort right out of the box when you get them. Born in Texas in 2015, Tecovas are handcrafted with every stitch on point. Tecovas boots are made for a good time and a long time, and Tecovas makes it easy for anyone to find their favorite boot with all kinds of sizes and styles. Tecovas are simply the best boot around. I really like the fact that they can either be daily boots or you can feel dressed up with them. I'm bringing them to the Cotton Bowl on Saturday. Right now, get 10% off at tecovas.com/Texas football when you sign up for email and text. That's 10% off at TECOVAS.com/Texas football. With Tecovas Best in the West guarantee, you get free returns and exchanges for 30 days. Again, tecovas.com/Texas football. See site for details. Tecovas, point your toes west.
And I'm going to tell everyone about Mint Mobile this morning because you know what doesn't belong in your epic summer plans? Getting burned by your old wireless bill. And while you're planning beach trips, barbecues, 3-day weekends for Texas football games, your wireless bill should be the last thing holding you back. And you got to get those in quick because summer's almost over. With Mint, you can get the coverage and speed you're used to, but for way less money. And for a limited amount of time, Mint Mobile is offering 3 months of unlimited premium wireless service for just $15 a month. So while your friends are sweating over data overages and surprise charges, you're going to be chilling, literally and financially. So this year, skip breaking a sweat and breaking the bank and get this new customer offer and 3-month unlimited wireless plan for just $15 a month at mintmobile.com/OnTexas. That's Mint, M-I-N-T, mobile.com/OnTexas. Upfront payment of $45 required, which is equivalent to $15 a month. Limited time, new customer offer for first 3 months only. Speeds may slow above 35 gigs on unlimited plan. Taxes and fees extra. See Mint Mobile for details. Okay, more super chats we got to jump over to this morning. And let's see, we had one from Juan Garza. And Juan says, did you know that Texas has offensive line analyst Tim Drevno on staff? Thoughts, or did you all discuss this already?
We did not discuss it, but this is, I mean, I don't know why this is coming out now, other than I think people are trying to push a narrative there that he's somehow been brought in at the last minute to fix the offensive line. Tim Drevno is a former offensive coordinator. I think he spent 2024 on Ohio State's offensive line as an analyst, et cetera. Just to be clear, he started at Texas in May of this year. So he came in right after spring ball, and he's been at Texas since May. So it's not like he just got, Sark said, we got offensive line problems. I'm going to dial this guy up. He's been here for 5 months. So I don't know if that was the intent of what was reported or what have you, but he's been on staff for 5 months. He's just another, I mean, Texas has, 35 of these guys total? I'm not trying to say he's not good. People need to understand there's a lot of assistant secondary coaches, assistant defensive line coaches, assistant wide receiver coaches, assistant quarterback coaches. Tim Drevno is a analyst on the offensive line and has been since May.
And then we got one from Jay Lee. Says, Bobby mentioned going to short pass plays. It's why I say Sark's philosophy is antithetical to quarterback rhythm. Sark doesn't believe in executing easy plays.
Texas led the country in passes 5 yards or less last year.
Yeah, I'm with Jerry.
I mean, we talked about how that within the scheme was going to change with the quarterback change this year, and it was going to be more of and because Sark wants to throw the ball downfield, right? Let's be real.
Yeah,
and that's to pull that scheme off. Your offensive line has to be really good in pass pro before you talk about anything else, and your running backs have to be really good in and tight ends in pass protection. I mean, you have to be really good in pass pro if you're going to have longer developing routes and you want to throw the ball vertically and really stretch the field vertically all the way to the max, right? That was the plan going into the season. The plan has not worked.
It has not transpired according to plan. I would say this too. The other thing that would help is Quinn had it down to the point where he knew, he's third-year starting quarterback. He knew where his hot reads were. I'm not so sure that Arch has that intuitiveness at this point as a starter. So that's, I mean, again, work in progress.
And another super chat regarding Sark from Hookem from Arkansas. Says this was meant for my super chat, but Sark's record against top 10 and top programs needs to be talked about. It's not good. He does not have winning records against top teams.
Unless you're Kirby Smart or Ryan Day, nobody has a winning record against top teams. So I agree with you. It needs to get better.
Yeah.
But, you know, he's not, let's be clear, he's not James Franklin. You know, what's James Franklin? 4-21, 1-19 1-19. No, 1-18 in conference against top 10 teams. He's not James Franklin. So there's a level there.
And by the way, his worst loss was Saturday. And by the way,
James Franklin's, yeah.
His worst one was Saturday. By the way, there's a lot of talk about this. Is the other interesting thing about the game. While we're going to be focused on the Texas-Oklahoma game, Florida goes to A&M this week. You're going to find out very quickly about Florida. Was it the Florida that Texas showed up for and played? Was it all Texas, or is Florida actually going to turn the corner? We're going to find out real quick, because if Florida goes to A&M and looks like the Florida they did against LSU or Miami, Miami's a better team than A&M, but you know what I'm saying. If it looks similar, it's going to be pretty telling. There's some actually good SEC games this week. Alabama at Missouri is really good. Yeah, I mean, obviously Alabama's only 2.5-point favorite. Oklahoma, Texas, obviously Florida at A&M, Georgia at Auburn. Georgia 3.5-point favorite. And everybody's like, oh, Georgia will kill Auburn. Auburn is good on the defensive front. Auburn's good on defense. Georgia's going to have to execute offensively in that game. There's some good SEC games this week.
Matthew Miller says, have you watched the Arkansas tape from Sark's first year? I was curious about the offensive line. Is it, in his opinion, he says, it's better than this year's?
The Arkansas, have any of you watched the Arkansas?
He means from the OL from Sark's first year versus this year.
I don't know. I mean, I haven't watched the Arkansas tape from Sark's first year in 4 years. I want to forget that in my memory like it never happened. So no, I haven't rewatched it lately. Is it possible that offensive line is better than this one? I guess, but I don't know for sure, Matthew. I couldn't tell you. I would say this, that team got dominated by an Arkansas team that was very average. Very average. I think Florida is a better team than people realize. I'm not saying they're going to beat A&M, but they're more talented than that Arkansas team.
And then staying on the OL for another second from Tim here. Thank you, Tim. Do you guys think Arch's rough start to the year had anything to do with the offensive line struggling in camp? Additionally, how much does the offensive line struggles impact the development of the defensive line? Good on good.
I'm going to be different than probably most people here. I do not, because he was against Ohio State. It was just easy throws. He'd been making his whole life.
He had the yips against Ohio State.
And then it carried over through UTEP, which is extremely, extremely ugly for a quarterback. And he's actually rebounded since then and took a beating Saturday, and played his guts out in that game. No, I do not. I think the struggles were missing throws he'd been making his whole life against Ohio State, and then that carried over. And he missed more easy throws the first 3 games of his college career, of starting his first 3 starts as a starter, than he probably has his entire life. I saw him in high school. So
let me read the second part of this question. Is an interesting one. How much does the OL struggles impact the development of the DL? Good on good. It can give you a false sense of security as to how good your interior defensive line is. So if the I mean, frankly, if the interior of the Texas offensive line isn't as good as expected and the Texas defensive line is beating them in practice, that can lead you to a false sense of security that you think your defensive line is better than they actually are. I think that may have happened a little against Florida. Texas could not get off Florida blocks.
And then Seth wants to know, Bobby, do you still feel the same with your prediction, giving the how of this 3-2? You did predict it correctly, and I roasted you for it. I will eat the crow, says Seth.
I think that the how is a little different than I expected and anticipated, but no matter how you get somewhere, that's where you end up. I do feel like I started to see something from Arch against Florida that I think a team can rally behind. I think that Florida had a great running back and a good offensive line and a good game plan. And it was in the swamp. And they were a little more battle tested than Texas as well. I'll add that. I think that was important and showed up because, to Jerry's point, they brought the physicality. Texas brought the physicality they played with against Sam Houston State. Not enough, right? So I would say that's the case. I do believe that the offensive line is behind where I thought it would be. Everything else is on path, in my opinion. So that's where I'm at.
And I wanted to say thank you to John W., Taylor, Johnson, and Daryl for your going back and telling us what you meant there on that one, Daryl, for their super chats. I put their comments up a minute ago. And Rocky P with the final comment of the day in a sarcastic tone, obviously, says, the sky is falling. The sky is falling. Sark, Bevo, Del Conte all need to go. I know they have shown us success, but they don't know what they're doing, won't listen to me, and can't do their jobs.
Bevo needs to go. Hey, Sark and Del Conte definitely need to go. But Bevo, what did he do?
Look, Texas athletics as a whole is in a great spot. Texas physicality on a football field is in a bad spot. We'll see if it changes Saturday.
Jerry is laying down. I want everybody to know this is Jerry's version of laying down the gauntlet for the University of Texas football team.
Yeah.
Jerry is questioning their manhood.
Yes. Yes. Prove it. Go prove it. You got on a plane and went to Florida and knew it was on the line, and you got physically beat down. Physically. And it wasn't just on the lines. Dallas Wilson looked like Michael Crabtree. Running down the right sidelines after the catch. Let it stick with you all week and be embarrassed, and then go prove everybody wrong Saturday. That's the way this game should work after Saturday, physically.
Jerry wants a punch to the gut and for it to rot there until they do something different.
It has to. It should. It should. Now, the rest of this crap doesn't matter if you can't bull in the ring, Oklahoma drill. The rest of this crap doesn't happen if you can't go and get in that one. And you can talk about all the players, everything you want. This doesn't matter.
Well, I will say this.
Did you ever once look at every coach will lose his games? Did you ever once look at an Alabama and say, man, they just got beat up physically? No. You got to answer the bell physically before anything else can happen. And I know everybody's, well, you're using Nick Saban. Well, physical team for 15 straight years. This is a physical league. This is a league that was built on physicality. I don't know what to say. It's a physical game.
All right, guys, that's going to do it for today's episode of Coffee and Football presented by Texas Road. I want to thank them along with Gooder, Mint Mobile, Kirby Lane, Prize Picks, and Tecovas, all for sponsoring today's show. Bobby, what do you have for folks later today?
Jerry's on the road covering recruiting. Obviously, we talked about Cohen Brown earlier. He's got some other updates for us as well. Then we also have the live stream tonight. Don't forget about that. Amanda Atwell will be joined by CJ and Jeff Howe. tonight. So make sure you check on that. And as always, I want to mention this one more time. If you're going to Dallas, make sure you check out the events surrounding DallasTexasX's.org. If you're going to the game, at the very least, come to the Texas X's tailgate inside the State Fair. Again, that's DallasTexasX's.org. Check us out also on OnTexasFootball.com. We have a subscription promo right now, $39.95 for an intro subscription, first-time subscription using promo code OTFOG. Jerry, I think you got your point across because my gut now needs Texas to be physical this weekend. Just for the record.
I don't know what else to say. That's where this game starts. Then if you can match physicality, and then let's talk about the rest. But I mean, any of us that grew up around football fields, played football fields, I mean, what did you look forward to? What if when we've had kids on this show and the really physical guys that we have on this show, what is like a guy like Nick Townsend, who when he comes in, he's a very physical player. What does he say? Oh, I get to hit people and I don't get in trouble for it. I mean, this is a physical sport, man. And so a lot of kids choose this game because they get to hit people and not get in trouble for it. It's a physical freaking sport, man.
Jerry, I love you, buddy. I love you.
I don't know what to say.
Well, we're going to say goodbye for this morning. Of course, we'll be back same time, same place tomorrow. Hope you all have an outstanding day. So for Bobby Burton and a fired up Jerry Hamilton, I'm Blake Monroe, and we'll see you.